Yeah, so the call started about an hour ahead of schedule, or at least what the White House had told us yesterday. The call started at 8 a.m. Eastern, and basically we are now on tenterhooks for whatever the president puts on Truth Social. We're also expecting readouts from the Chinese as well as the U.S. government, actually. But really, the big thing on the agenda is TikTok. Trump has been teasing this significantly, saying that something will happen there. There's a deal. We think that there's a deal there, et cetera. Obviously, the trade component is significant as well. The two leaders last spoke back in June. Conversation lasted about 90 minutes. So I have 9:30 a.m. circled on my calendar as to when we might be seeing some action there. But really, the biggest thing is trade. Can the two biggest economies in the world ease their trade tensions and really give some calm to the markets there?
Lauren, do you think that TikTok is the political football in this phone conversation between these two leaders? Does China, give a little on the TikTok deal to get a better tariff situation?
Perhaps, that could certainly be something there. President Trump has made no secret of his affinity for the platform. As he said multiple times, he credits TikTok for being a component in his win last November. And we've also seen the US government extend their deadline for TikTok to be sold. Theoretically, they could just keep doing that, although the legal ability to do so is a little bit murky. But yeah, that's certainly something that China can come to the table with and say, all right, yes, we can make a deal here. The US can then spin off this component. And as we know, at least from the initial details that have kind of leaked out from other sources, is the sense that the US will have to create its own algorithm. The real moneymaker with TikTok is the algorithm, and to what extent the Chinese government can give that, or the Chinese can give that up, is really something that stands to be seen.
Lauren, is a potential face-to-face meeting between Xi Jinping and President Trump, is that something that's talked about, something that might happen in the relatively near future? Is that part of maybe today's agenda?
Possibly. We know that Trump has accepted Xi's invitation to visit. Xi is interested in coming into the US at some point. This was an outcome of their call back in June. But of course, the actual plannings and logistics for it have been completely up in the air, if existent at all. Of course, a meeting like that is something that is always on the table when we're talking about a leader or a conversation between two principals like this. So certainly that's something that I know Breaking News will be watching very closely when we're parsing this readout of, is there actually a meeting coming up? When would that be? I would also say that if we don't hear of any news about a meeting being scheduled, that's telling too. If the two leaders, it's kind of an indication of an impasse between the two leaders that, yes, there may be some movement on trade. There's maybe some movement on TikTok, but if they can't get to the playing field of, yes, we'll agree to some sort of meeting at some point, that means that the relationship is still a little bit icy, even though President Trump loves to say he has a great relationship with President Xi and, loves to tout that.
And I'm glad, Lauren, that you brought up June, because it is the last time these two leaders spoke. And and a lot's happened since then. So how much is Nvidia, do you think, part of the conversation today? Because since their last meeting, we've got this ban now where China is telling its big tech companies, hey, don't go buy chips, especially those new AI chips from Nvidia.
Absolutely. I think the tit for tat is something that companies always have to consider when, governments are interacting with things. We do know that Trump has kept Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang extremely close. We saw Jensen with the president yesterday in the UK. He was at the state dinner the day prior, which Trump absolutely loved. And at a business leaders summit, President Trump pointed to Jensen Huang and said, AI is the future. What are you doing here? Essentially indicating that, his company is so powerful and so significant that, the president is really recognizing that. And so I do think that when President Trump is making these deals with foreign leaders and with other countries, we see a lot of emphasis on companies, whether it's Boeing or Nvidia or anything else. And so I would certainly I wouldn't be surprised if that is a part of whatever comes out of the conversation today.